I'm Peter Mandler. I'm professor of modern cultural history at the University of Cambridge. Welcome to my exp. Education is so encrusted in all sorts of myths. And one of the myths, which is very well established, is that we're educating for the future. There's a wonderful factoid which is currently in circulation. And I can't remember the exact terms of its current form, but it's something like for the children currently in schools today who are going to be in employment in 30 years' time, 40%, 60%, 50% of the jobs of the future have not even been invented yet. And I'm sorry to say that this particular factoid has been given recent currency by the World Economic Forum, that is Davos, the gathering of the supposedly leadership elites of the business world and government, and academia. And there's a very clever blogger from Canada who did a little digging and discovered that this particular factoid has been in circulation since the late 1950s. The labor market does change, but it doesn't change that dramatically as that factoid suggests, and it doesn't change in the directions that people are suggesting. So, for example, when the World Economic Forum issued this factoid, it said the jobs of the future haven't been invented yet, and they will all be in IT and advanced manufacturing, and they picked out a few sectors which they like and which they're well represented in, especially tech. But actually, these sectors employ very small numbers of people today. There's no sign that they're going to be employing more people tomorrow. The fastest growing occupational groups today are health and social care, which never gets mentioned in these discussions about the jobs of the future. And so this has made me very suspicious. And I think made a lot of commentators who know what they're talking about very suspicious about these pronouncements about the jobs of the future, and pronouncements, therefore, of what education should be serving. At one level, we can't plan for the future. I mean, we don't know what our children's lives are going to be like in 30 years. We certainly have very little idea of what their jobs will be, although we have some hunches that don't accord with the World Economic Forum. We don't know what totally new challenges might spring up. And education can't really plan for the future, except by making children happy and fulfilled and confident and flexible and trainable and willing, confident enough in their own abilities, sometimes by working hard at something that they already are good at and already like, confident enough in their own abilities that when they are faced with an unknowable challenge in the future, they'll say, sure, I've done that once before when I was young in school. I can do it again. I can learn something from scratch. So I think education, it has to train for the future because it trains young people for the rest of their lives. But it can't do it with any great precision, and it has to do it by cultivating qualities of mind and qualities of character rather than specific skills or specific tasks. I also think disciplines are really important. And I don't care that much what discipline. I'm an historian. My daughter did a linguistics degree. My son did a geochemistry degree. I was absolutely delighted with the results of each because they were doing things that they loved, that they were doing them at a very high level, and they were giving them a general training which is going to serve them in good stead throughout their lives. But actually, that training wouldn't have been as good as it was if they weren't being trained in disciplines. Linguistics, chemistry, history, these are very traditional disciplines. They have a long history behind them of what's the important things to know, what are the tools that you use to get better at them. Obviously, they're always growing and developing, but again, they're very traditional, and in that sense, you might say backward-looking. And as long as we don't raise, like some kind of God that we worship, one discipline over all others, which does happen occasionally, computer science, maths, history, sometimes in the past, classics, going further back. There was a ludicrous overemphasis on one discipline, but in each case, training in those individual disciplines was good for the kids that went through it.